Hi, this is again Volleyball Explained and our podcast First Tempo. Today I have the great pleasure to have as a guest Vanessa Agbortabi from the team of Maritza Plovdiv. Hi, Vanessa. First of all, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. And you?
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope this is going to be a great conversation, and I'm sure we're going to do it. First of all, tell me, how did you start your volleyball career? How did you start playing volleyball in Germany?
I started at a very young age. It was when I was in elementary school, I think around second or third grade, and my PE teacher in elementary school was at the same time a volleyball coach. So that's why he tried to talk sometimes to the girls at school if they would like to come to volleyball practice. And yeah, that's what he done with me because before I joined there the volleyball team, I was actually doing track and field, but yeah, I thought, okay, why not going to one practice there because it was right at my school, so not a long way for me to go. And yeah, that's how it all started. And I was 7, 8 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty early, pretty young for starting volleyball because most most people I think start or 10, 11, probably something like this in 7, 80s. And yes, you said that your physical education teacher was also a volleyball coach, but did you have any other experience with sport? Because we know that in Germany you people have the possibility, kids have the possibility to start practicing many sports.
Yeah, like I said, I was doing track and field,
Yeah.
so athletics. Before I started with volleyball, and I think I was maybe first grade, so just 2 years before that. Yeah, I done that, and for some years I done it at the same time, so I had a lot of practice every week because Monday I would go to track and field, then Tuesday volleyball, then track and field, then volleyball, track and field. So I was basically every day working out, but it was fun for me. So it was not like hard work and I don't want to go. But then at one point, my parents said, okay, I need to decide now what I want to do because I knew that I want to go to a sport academy and I had to decide, okay, do I want to go with track and field or volleyball because I was in both pretty good. But and we had also the dilemma on the weekends that I had to decide, oh, to which competition I want to go because then there was a track and field and a volleyball competition, and then both of my coaches want me there, and I'm like, oh, I don't know where to go. But I really enjoyed volleyball because it's a team sport and you play there with your I had friends there on my team and everything, and in track and field you are more alone, you just compete for yourself. So for me it was pretty clear that I want to continue then with volleyball. And yeah, I think then in fifth grade I stopped with track and field and then I only focused on volleyball. And yeah, from seventh grade on, I started to do it on a high level. So with the sport academy where you have practice in the morning and afternoon every day. Yeah.
Was it short distances or more average or long distances in track and field?
Well, in the beginning, I had done pretty much everything, but then my main discipline was like 800 meters. I also don't know how because I think that's one of the worst disciplines you can do. So yeah, I kind of done long distance, but also like long jump and high jump. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had some pretty much a long time ago. One of the best conditioning coaches in Bulgaria, who was probably 15, 17 years ago, also a conditioning physical coach in the national team. And when he arrived in the team, and the first reaction of some of the more experienced players, like I think Evgeny Ivanov or Plamen Konstantinov, and they told me, we don't like running. So So that's why interesting how athletics corresponds to volleyball from in this regard, because I know some players that were practicing also athletics, but for example a Russian opposite who he was a high jumper. Do you think athletics outside of the overall physical preparation helped you in volleyballs in a concrete way?
Oh yeah, I think just in all in general it helps you a lot. So with your body control and everything. So I think I had a good base then to start with volleyball and continue there. Yeah. Especially also because was doing high jump as well. So yeah, I think it was a good start
So
into sports.
high jump is the key, it seems. Yeah, and did you have an example either or whatever we can call it in volleyball when you started playing, and or years thereafter when you were younger?
Well, that's honestly a funny question because I had no role model for such a long time. So I would say I got more into volleyball, like watching volleyball, other volleyball players when I got older. So when I was younger, I didn't even really knew any volleyball players. So I would never chase, I don't know, any player, so who I really want to meet or I want to play like her or something like that. I even barely knew any players. So I think it started with that at one point when I went to sport academy, that I would knew at least some of the German national team players, but I didn't know anything about internationals. So now later I got more interested in that, and now I would say Gabi is, if I have to say a role model, it's her because it's very impressive with her height and everything, um what she's doing, so how physically she is. So because she's not that tall, she has to do a lot with her athletics, and it's for me pretty much the same. So because I'm also just 180, you could say I'm kind of a short outside hitter. So I'm also doing a lot with then my jumps, being fast on my feet and everything. So I got to be better than in all the skills
Yeah.
area.
In order to compensate for, okay, it's not a lack of height, because in a standard society 180 is a lot, for example in I think in Bulgaria the average height of women is something like 165, I think. I'm not sure what about Germany. I would say that in Germany is a little
Maybe
bit
the same.
taller, a little bit more, but on in Netherlands even more. That's for sure. But okay, and this is your second season now in the team of Maritza. Last season, how did you decide coming to Plovdiv, coming to Maritza?
Well, I had an agent who told me about the offer in Maritza. I had no idea about Maritza. I knew they've been playing in the Champions League for some years, and but otherwise I also didn't know about the Bulgarian league. I was thinking, oh, I don't think it's too good. But then I heard that this new coach is coming from Turkey who was in Vakifbank for many years, where I was like, okay, I expect him to have then a lot of knowledge, and for me, it was very important to go to a team with a good coach where I can have good practice and work in a good way. So, and I also never played Champions League before I came to Maritza. So I was like, okay, that's the next step to play then in the Champions League. Um, and yeah, also a new challenge for me because we are a quite young team. For me, it's also weird to know I'm actually one of the oldest player, and I'm like, I'm also just 26, but yeah, I kind of feel old. And yeah, it was for me a good decision until this day. That's why I stayed for one more year because I feel really good here. Yeah.
Yeah, Ahmed Jan was a guest in the podcast this year in the beginning of the year, but still this year. Mila Pashkuleva was also a guest a little bit earlier during the episodes. I think last year or the year before that, not sure now. And do you like Plovdiv as a city to live in?
Yeah, I really like it. So I'm like from a big city. I'm from Berlin, but Berlin can be way too much. So I think maybe quite the same as Sofia. But I also do like Sofia because I grew up in Berlin. So I will always love big cities. But Plovdiv is kind of perfect because it's just in between. It's not too small, but it's also not too big. So you never have to go anywhere too far and you don't have too much traffic. So yeah, to specific times in the morning when everyone is going to work or in the afternoon when they're coming back, there can be some traffic, but for me this is still nothing because in Berlin it's just way worse. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really like it.
I've been to Berlin only one time in 2019, and it was during the winter, so I don't have any impressions from Berlin in principle because I think to estimate to assess a city, a town, whatever, just from one experience during the winter, so it's not very adequate. Let's say it in this way. But yeah. By the way, I was born in Plovdiv. However, I haven't lived there for more than 40 days, and that were actually my first 40 days. So I was lastly I was in Plovdiv 2021 when during the European Championship. So I have the link to Plovdiv. However, I don't spend a lot of time there lately. Okay, you are the only foreign player in Maritza, and tell me this is working out, because what I mean is that uh, naturally people have the habit to um, to speak in their own language, and this is normal. But how did they integrate you into the team from this aspect last year?
Well, obviously, the beginning was at first not easy and very new because for me it was also the first time ever being the only foreigner. So at least I always had one more foreigner or even more in Germany. They always sign a lot of foreigners, so it's mostly half half, like half German, half foreigners. So now I was like, oh, I'm completely alone. So that's also not what they first said to me. So it actually was said that, oh, they are planning to bring two foreigners. And then 1 month before I arrived here, I found out, okay, it's just me. I'm like, well, okay, let's see how this will go. So in the beginning, I was more on my own, just also settling in because I had to first explore the city, see where I'm living. And yeah, but the team actually made it very easy for me because everyone is really nice and sweet, and yeah, they speak most of the time their language is still the case, but when there's anything important, they include me and then I know what's going on, and I do understand now a bit more Bulgarian after a year, so that makes it also easier. And yeah, so now I'm very much used to it. So the first like three, four, no, first 2, 3 months, um, yeah, were a little bit more difficult, but then more and more by time, it got better and easier. Yeah.
Yeah, probably yes. Only foreign player in Maritza is correct as a statement. However, not in the team because the head coach is, of
Yes, that's
course, yeah,
also what
yeah,
they said to
yeah.
me when they were like, "Oh, they're gonna bring two foreigners," and then, "Oh, it's just you as a player and the coaches." I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, that's great, but it's not like
Uh,
that. Oh, I'm." with the coaches 24/7 outside of practice and everything. But yeah.
And how are you doing now with our language?
Well, I like I said, I can understand what talking is very hard for me. It's also always funny with my teammates because when I'm actually trying to say more and say words, I'm struggling a lot with the R because I cannot roll it. Like in general, I cannot, I can't do it. So, and I noticed that this is hard if you don't have it for this language because you have many words where you need that R because otherwise it sounds then not right or a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And I think for me the advantage is also that I learned in school Russian, so from the beginning I could read already the words
Yeah,
because
that's helpful with the syllable.
yeah, so that's helpful, yeah. And yeah, so and in practice I can understand more. So our head coach, he's obviously speaking English, but with strength coach or I don't know, the assistant coaches, they are Bulgarian, and when they would speak in Bulgarian, I can understand more. So when it's about we're doing an exercise and how many reps we have to do, I understand the numbers until 10. So yeah, and the basics was hello and bye and how are you and um yeah.
And let's let's make the next topic as a in general the dressing room. But what I mean is, firstly, who is your teacher in Bulgarian? That's or teachers, who are they?
Yeah, probably everyone. Yeah, I cannot pick someone specific. Every day I learn something new in a very random situation. So
Next, these are a little bit blitz questions. Who are your closest teammates?
I could also not pick because there's everyone. Like my roommate in at away games is Laura. But then
She's
I'm
funny.
also yeah,
Okay.
definitely. But then I'm also very cool with Bobby. I just hang out with her yesterday. And then the other day I'm with Kaya. But I also went for brunch with Vicky yesterday. So yeah, whoever is free and up to do something, um, I would choose and go with. So there are not too many favorites, and that's what I really like about the team, that we actually all get along, and I could do something with anyone in my free time.
Okay, three more blitz questions. Who is the funniest in the dressing room?
Probably Laura or Bobby, but to me also Jana.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Who is the most quiet?
Maggie or Svetko.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I always say the short form. That's why sometimes I'm even forgetting their actual name because we all have
Yeah.
nicknames, and then I'm like, what is her actual name? Or Ellie. And you see there, I'm also always forgetting. She has a really long name. The one who came just from the young team, the second
Yeah,
officer.
Elisaveta. Yeah, Elisaveta. Maggie is Margarita, and Ellie should be Elisaveta, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I think she's the youngest now, Elisaveta, 2008, I think, born.
Yeah, yeah, I think so
I
too.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And last from the Bliss questions, who is playing the music? Because I know that, yeah, they're very often there is music in the dressing rooms of sports teams. So who is playing the music, or there is nobody playing the music?
Oh no, definitely. We always have music, and it's normally Vicky or Laura because they both have good speakers, and they bring their speakers, and then they they play the music.
Okay, let's talk about Germany a bit. What is your experience in the national team? what I checked is that you played in VNL 2023 and the Universiade 2023, right? And am I missing something also?
Yeah, no, that's correct.
And so, can you tell me a little bit? I think you played against Brazil concretely in the VNL. What are your memories from this period and from this game specifically also?
Well, it was a great experience for sure. The atmosphere was crazy. I love to be in Brazil to play there. It was not my first time because in the youth, we also already played in Brazil. So, and I love how passionate the people are there about volleyball. So it was a full gym. I was definitely nervous as well because it was then the first game I actually started and played there with the national team. And yeah, a memory which will always last.
And I have a specific question about the coach, Vitor Heynen.
Mhm.
He was also one of the first volleyball persons to be a guest in the podcast. That was, I think, episode 10, and now this is episode 126, I think. So, could you tell me about him and what a character he is? Because we all know that he is a character, but let's see it from the perspective of a player.
Yeah, special character, but a lot of knowledge, um, and also a interest in a special and interesting way. So you gotta figure it out for your own. Let's say I think everyone sees it from a different perspective, but I mean, based on his success he already had, I mean mainly in the men's volleyball, I think it shows that he knows what he's doing. um but that's why it was also an interesting way to work with him, coming just from men's volleyball, because I think that was the first time for him then working with women, and we are just very different, 14 women and the characters and more emotional and everything than men, which I think was also not easy for him. um and now he already went back to the men's volleyball, so maybe he already had
Yeah.
enough of us. um but no, I respect him as a person and as a coach, and for me, like I said, it was an honor and a great opportunity I got, that for the first time he shows me there to come with the national team and to be part of the VNL, and I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, I was actually even in contact with him once again, I think beginning of this year, since he's there now in China, and we talked a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, and for finish of the podcast, it's not a question but a tradition, and this is a recommendation for next guest. And what I mean under that is that you can recommend me a person who will be one of the next guests in the podcast, and the only the only requirement is that you need to be able to make the contact. So you can help. You could help with making the contact with this person. So it could be anyone that can speak either Bulgarian or English. My German was much better before, so now German is not an option, including for this podcast. So it's a little. It will be yes. Let's say that it will be hard to listen. So German is not an option. No.
um well, I think then I pick one of my teammates, and it's Laura. If Laura was not there yet.
Yeah, Warner was not there yet, so this could yeah, I will talk, of course. I will talk also with Zlati, because this is the order to make the contact, so this will be very helpful. So Vanessa, thank you again for being in the podcast, and yeah, I think that it was a very uh nice and smiling conversation. So thank you again for being in the podcast, and I wish you a lot of success for the next matches, including I think you're starting on next week in the Champions League group stage, right? With
Yes, on
in Poland,
Wednesday
yeah,
we play in
yeah,
Poland.
in Poland, yeah. So thank you again for being in the podcast, and see you soon. Bye.
Yes,
And
see you. Thank you for having me. Have a
thank
good
you,
day.
and dear listeners and spectators, thank you for watching again this episode. I hope you liked it, and watch us also the next time. Bye bye.